into the recitation of the messenger. May God's peace and prayer be upon him. This is in his book, The Abrogating and the Abrogated in the Holy Koran, page 225. These are questions that occur to the mind of someone who thinks. How can Satan utter words through the tongue of the messenger? How can Satan compile a verse that sounds so similar to the Quranic verses to the point that Muhammad himself could not tell that it wasn't a Quranic verse?
No doubt, anyone in his right mind would reject such things utterly.
And guess what? This happened at the time when Allah, the God of the Quran, challenged people to come up with verses similar to the verses of the Quran. It's in Surah 2, Al-Baqarah, verse 23. If you are in any doubt about what we have sent down to our servant, then bring in a chapter like it. But here we find Satan bringing a chapter like it. It was so similar that the prophet could not tell the difference between it and Gabriel's speech. You read this in the commentary of Al-Nasafi, volume 1, page 68. Do you see my point? And in Surah 10, Yunus, verse 38, it reads, or do they say he has made it up? Say, produce a chapter like it? Okay, Satan has brought something similar to it. Isn't this peculiar? It sounds very odd. This is not easy. Again, in Surah 11, Hud, verse 13, it reads also, or do they say he has made it all up? Say, well then, bring 10 chapters made up like it. Imam al-Nasafi comments on this by saying, assume I have made this up myself. Why don't you also make up words yourselves, similar to what I have said? But what about the bit about the semi-goddesses? Wasn't that made up? And it even passed unnoticed. No one could tell the difference. Again, in Surah 17, Al-Isra, verse 88, we read, say, even if men and demons organized to produce something like this Quran, they would never bring anything like it. And Nasafi explains this saying, if they assisted one another to make up something similar to the Quran in its eloquence and its beautiful order and compilation, they still would not be able to make up something similar to it. So after this much of a challenge, the messenger would not be able to discern the discourse of Satan and that of Gabriel.
But those insertions that have been mentioned are not in the Quran circulated today. Or are they?
Well, they were, but they are part of that which was abrogated.
And they are not there any longer.
Well, didn't Gabriel tell him? Didn't he tell him that this is not from God, it is from Satan? And then God erases the words of Satan? Well, you asked me a question. Is it possible? And I say it is. But not so in Christianity. We have no such thing. This issue about the semi-goddesses. One time in the Pal Talk in the chatting room, we have chatting rooms to discuss such matters.
But some people say that Satan came to tempt Christ and tried to seduce him. What do you have to say about that?
I say that Christ defeated Satan and never surrendered to him. He did not accept or receive his words. Satan fights. The Bible says that your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
Like a roaring lion.
But Christ, by the power of his divinity, was able to defeat him and never gave in to him. The problem here is giving in to Satan. So they say something else. They say this tradition, it is fabricated. It's an Israeli fabrication. Or that it is a single narrator, was not up to the consensus of the whole nation. But it has been mentioned by Al-Nasafi and Al-Galalain and the commentators, and Asbab al-Nuzul by Al-Wahdi, and the Abrogating and the Abrogated in the Quran by Ibn Salama and Nasb al-Majaniq by Sheikh al-Albani, and also in the book by Abu Ghafar al-Nahas, which is entitled The Abrogating and the Abrogated.
In the following few minutes, let me ask, can mortal beings interfere and insert things in the revealed books?
Mortal men? Oh, yes. You remind me of something very peculiar. In the Quran. In the Quran. Al-Suyuti says in his book, Al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran, pages 53 and 54, he says something very peculiar. Very, very peculiar. Here's what it says. He says here that God put the truth on the tongue of Omar, messenger prophet, and on his heart. Ibn Omar said, nothing has been revealed down to people. And he said, and God revealed the Koran in the same fashion as Omar uttered. And Ibn Mardaweh cites on the strings of Mugahid, whenever Omar formulated an opinion, it would be revealed later in the Koran. Omar ibn Khattab and al-Bukhari cited, as well as others on the strings of Anas, Omar said, I corresponded with my Lord in three things. I said, O Messenger of God, why don't we adopt Abraham's shrine as a place for prayer? And all of a sudden the verse was revealed. Adopt Abraham's shrine as a place for prayer. And I said, O Messenger of God, both decent and indecent men, come into your wives. Why don't you command them to hide behind a veil? And lo and behold, the verse about the veil was revealed. And again, when I said to him, if you divorce them, the verse of the threat of divorce was revealed. And there is a fourth one concerning the prisoners of war taken at Badr. I'm still citing al-Suyuti. Concerning the prisoners of war taken at Badr. This is very important. Very important. What does he say here? The wives of the messenger, may God's peace and prayer be upon him, gathered against him in jealousy. And I said to them, that's Omar talking, perhaps should he divorce you, his Lord would grant him even better wives than you instead. And the verse was revealed after the same fashion. Omar says something, and the verse will be revealed verbatim, as he said it. Muslim cites on the strings of Ibn Omar, or Omar, that Omar said, I corresponded to my Lord in three things. This is another citation. Here he says in the issue of the veil, and in the prisoners of war at Badr, and in Abraham's shrine. And Ibn Abi Hatim cited Anas, saying, Omar said, I corresponded to my Lord, and my Lord corresponded to me in four issues. When this verse came down, we created man from an extract of clay. When the verse came down, I said, blessed be God, the best of creators. And it was so revealed. Blessed be God, the best of creators. And he cites also Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Layla, that a Jew met Omar ibn al-Khattab and said to him, this Gabriel that your friend is talking about is our enemy. Namely that Gabriel, who Muhammad talks about, is an enemy to the Jews. Omar said, who is an enemy of God and his angels and his messengers, as well as of Gabriel and Michael? Anyhow, God is an enemy of disbelievers. This is what Omar said. He goes on to say, and the verse was revealed exactly as Omar said it, and so on. There is something else as well. Here it is talking about the incident of the calumny about Aisha. Sa'ad ibn Ma'ad said, praise be to you, this is a great lie. And the verse was revealed verbatim. There were two men, friends of Muhammad, Zayd ibn Haritha and Abu Ayyub, who also said this, praise be to you, this is a great lie. And the verse was revealed verbatim.
We are running out of time, and this is enough for now. Thank you very much. Dear viewers, I can only say when confronted by these issues that demand surprise and amazement, I haven't heard such things before. But let me read to you a verse from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 12, verse 19, talking about Christ. It says, he will not quarrel, nor cry out, nor will anyone hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and smoking flax he will not quench. Please lift up your heart with me to God. Thank you, our dear guests and our dear viewers. On the screen you will see the internet website addresses to which you can send your questions. And we welcome all of your questions. And if you want to receive a Bible, we will be happy to send you a free copy. Thanks, everybody. And until we meet again.